How do I really stay grounded when there's so much disruption happening around? Whew. In today's world, there's a lot going on. In personal lives, in work life, in nations, so much happening. So let me start with something I see over and over again. One of my clients, he's a CEO in a very successful corporation, nationwide, over 800 employees. And the nature of their work is very much influenced by things that are very often out of their control. Government policies, who's in power, funding cycles, budgets, so many things. And every time there is a new presidential election, there's a new policy, there's always disruption. It trickles down into the teams, it trickles down into systems, into the flow of work, into firefighting constantly. It's real. Another client, he's a founder of a very successful company, and they also face constant disruption. It's inevitable. It's part of life. Recruitment issues, employee issues, retention challenges, right? Client pressure, stakeholders, expectations. There's a lot going on. We have to recognize it for what it is. And this is very important, what I'm about to say, because disruption, when you feel the impact of the disruption in your processes, in your stakeholders, in your cash flow, in your business, you feel the disruption, literally. But this isn't failure. It's part of running a business, an organization, it's part of life. And this kind of disruption, to make it even worse, doesn't even stop at work. It goes on into your personal life too. A divorce, a relationship could shift, a loss, health, your health can change overnight. It's quite disturbing when you look at the reality. A friend of mine, for example, right? He's a personal trainer and very disciplined. Injured his back. And over this, disruption, it disrupted his whole rhythm, his whole routine, his cash flow, even in his business as a personal trainer. Disruption everywhere. So, what this leads to is like chaos, anxiety. Oh my goodness, what am I gonna do? The pressure. The question really isn't about, whether disruption will happen or not. How do you avoid disruption? Like, how do you avoid it happening to you? It can happen to anyone else, but not to me. You can't avoid it. The question we should be asking is, how do we stay grounded when it does? People say, Veronica, I'm a calm person. Right? It's part of the job. I'm very calm. Like when I go home, I'm very calm. I can stay very calm and grounded. I'm like, yeah. Yes, outwardly. And then they share something else saying, even when they're in bed laying calmly, there's noise. There's noise in their heads, in their minds. The disruption still follows them into bed. The side effects. Yes, they're calm in bed trying to meditate, trying to stay calm, but it's still there. Even when the house is silent, it's still there. You're having dinner, it's still there. You're in your sofa trying to watch TV, it's still there. You're trying to play with your kids, it's still there. The mind never stops. And anxiety grows, it gets a stronger grip over you, and you start making decisions haphazardly and out of pressure, out of urgency, out of fear. Scenarios playing, images replaying in your mind. Still switched on, still bracing for impact, still carrying the disruption internally, long even after the event has passed. And look at it, inside organizations, this shows up too. People, get overwhelmed and more mistakes are made. Communication deteriorates, relationships tense. Communication and decision making drop, quality drops. And we say, it's just part of life. It's just part of running a business. It's just comes with the package. Maybe. But I want us to pause, as we always do. I'm here to recalibrate how we think under these conditions. Let's look at it more closely. The word disruption itself, let's look at that. This is a label we've created to describe an event that has interrupted the flow of how we do things, how we function, right? Weather disruption, it interrupts the flow of life. Market disruption, it interrupts the flow of our business. System disruption, they all interfere in a way we don't want them to, right? Here's what I want us to really explore and recalibrate how we think. I want us to notice the key thing in this whole disruption concept. Yes, it's an event. And yes, it's an event you usually have no control over. No control. You can't control the government policy making. You can't control the federal agents. You can't control even your spouse. You can't control the weather. You can't control how the stock markets are going to behave today. You can't control many things. You can't control the traffic. You can't control these disruptions. Just notice, think of any disruption you've had in your life. Okay, maybe health disruption, okay? You may have some influence over that, right? The personal trainer I knew, he'd been carrying heavy weights for years. Eventually his back just collapsed. He said, no, thank you, I can't do it anymore. Maybe there's things you can control. But look at the majority of the disruptions. You can't control. So when something doesn't behave the way we want it to, we label it as disruption. Because it's disrupting our plans, our expectations, our sense of order. Okay. Now, here's the question I want to present. If you have no control over the event, how is your anxiety helping? Oh, under pressure I can function better. Pause, watch my other video around how we make decisions under pressure. They seem realistic, they seem logical, but the thinking field is so narrow that the quality of decisions are certainly not on point. So if you have no control over this event, how is this pressure and fear and anxiety helping? How is overwhelm? How is it improving the situations? Oh, when there's overwhelm, the adrenaline helps us. I get it. So fear sometimes is good, of course. Stress is good in a way, right? It produces hormones that allow us to act. Yes, I get it. Not saying that's not true. But what it actually does is something very, almost invisible, but very costly. It narrows your thinking field. under stress, under pressure, as much as they can serve a purpose, parts of the brain responsible for contextual thinking, for meaning making, for perspective, for evolution, don't function optimally. They don't. Yes, you're still thinking. Yes, you're still deciding. Yes, you're still taking action, and it feels urgent. It feels like, yes, we're doing things. But you're doing so from a narrowed perceptual grid. It is what it is. Usually, later you realize that, if only I had paused for a moment, I wouldn't have said that. If I had paused for a moment to recalibrate what I'm telling myself, maybe I wouldn't have written the email in the way I did. Maybe if, right, I wasn't so anxious, more creativity would have emerged and I would have kind of handled it. Like, there's so many things. And we see this play out personally, organizationally, nationally, internationally. Reacting from fear. Saying yes when you mean no. Avoiding conversations, choosing short-term relief over long-term truth. That is a result of a suppressed hippocampus. That is a suppressed function of the brain. Short-term thinking. And that's only because of the conditions are not favorable for long-term visionary innovation, creativity. It is what it is. So pressure is always there. Disruption is always there, right? It doesn't stop your decision making. It doesn't stop you from making decisions, no. But it definitely quietly lowers the quality of those decisions. Period. It lowers the quality. Oh no, Veronica, under pressure I make great decisions. Okay, how do you know? What is your measure? Based on what? When contextually, your brain is not functioning because the thinking field is narrowed. So once you recognize what's going on, this whole disruption concept, and that you have really no control over that, something shifts, something emerges. Something emerges to your consciousness, not that you didn't know. Choice. You may not control the disruption, but you do control how you relate to it. And this starts very simple way. By distinction. Knowing what is in my control and what is not. Accepting that which you cannot control. Accepting even, I dare say, systems that were not even designed for you or I or anyone else. Accepting that this isn't created for me. And I really, with all my shouting, all my fists, and like, no, this must change. It wasn't designed, it was not. I accept that. That's not weakness, it's liberation. Because acceptance frees up my energy. It frees up energy, it freezes up things that now you can create. And you know what? Freed up energy allows better questions to emerge. Okay, what am I assuming here? What am I tolerating? What is this costing me? What else could this mean? What else could I be doing? Where else can I direct or channel this energy? If blame didn't exist, if I couldn't blame anything, anybody, what would I be doing instead? And I ask these questions even to my clients, right? I ask them, so ask yourself this question. If I were someone, with deep wisdom, what would I do in this situation? And I ask that to shift perspective, to shift focus, because you're focusing on the disruption. Let me share a story. So One of my clients was responsible for the water infrastructure in this particular state, and it included snow management and when it rains, water management, and anything that is connected with water, including snow. So there was a major snowstorm. Transport was disrupted, assets were affected, public frustration was growing, things is not working, like why isn't this working? This should be functioning, where are the people? Public frustration. So the immediate reaction was stress, of course, anxiety, and then good, because it generated some form of action, fine, you can say. There was stress, like, okay, what if people can't access this? Yes, if they complain, our reputation, all these things, these are very relevant, very valid. But here's the thing. No amount of stress was going to stop the snow. Right? It wasn't going to melt faster either. Like it is what it is. And yes, you take action, right? But stressing over it and that anxiety that your thinking field only focuses on a narrowed field. Once you accept the reality, something shifted for him. Yes, of course, operational decisions were made. That's a no-brainer. That's like obvious. But in calm, a question emerged. Always does in the thinking field. What haven't we thought of yet? Simple, yet clouded because you're focusing on everything else but not. Okay, what haven't we done? What else haven't we done? What haven't we thought of yet? Reassurance mattered. Transparency mattered. You realized, okay, we can't control the weather, but we can control how people experience us during it. They went live, shared updates to the public, they offered guidance, they showed they cared, they showed up. Whilst the normal things were being done, they did something extra. That was the gold inside the disruption. And it actually leveraged their reputation as an institution, as an organization that truly cares about their people, the stakeholders, the public. Trust built and calm was reinstalled. The storm was still there, but clarity returned. Calm in the midst of the storm, the eye of the storm, that's the calm. So here's what I want to leave you with. When you're calm, it doesn't come from eliminating disruption. Like, I want to be at peace, I want calm, I don't want problem, I want peace. You can't eliminate the disruption, so you don't think you're gonna have calm by eliminating and trying to avoid the disruption. True calmness and grounding comes from accepting what you can't control and grounding yourself in what you can. That's what requires presence. It's what allows that grounding. Because in presence, you have the wisdom to distinct between what you can control, what you can't. And when you focus, okay, what can I control? What can I do here? What haven't you thought of whilst we're doing this? What else? And from that place, your thinking field expands. You see things that you'd never have seen. It's like in a dark room, the light switches on. And now you can see. Creativity returns, options start appearing, and wiser decisions emerge. So, I have an invitation for you. Notice the disruptions you are carrying right now in your life. Okay? Not just even the external disruptions, the internal ones too. Just notice what is going on that you have labeled a disruption. And ask yourself, what am I trying to control that I can't? Sit with that question. And what becomes possible when I stop trying to control? What becomes possible when I stop trying to control what I can't? Shift focus. Where energy goes, or where focus goes, energy goes. Where energy goes, creation follows. And that's where the calm actually begins. That's where clarity starts to emerge. And that's where the gold in the disruption quietly reveals itself. What disruption are you facing? What can you control? What can't you control? What do you need to accept? This is the wisdom that we pray for. Let's have a conversation.